is that heavy, slow strength training, or isometrics, that's the slowest form of strength training, really builds the compliant end of that tendon and it makes it more compliant.
こんにちは、バスケ情報局です。 NBA トレーナーのポール・ファブリッツが怪我防止のためのトレーニングを紹介しています。それでは見てみましょう。
So I have two of the highest jumpers in the world doing heavy isometric squats. Now, why? Am I doing this to improve their athleticism? No. At that level, some isometrics is not really going to improve athleticism. We're doing it strictly for knee health. So over the last 5 decades, there's been a lot of research on isometric training or even just heavy, slow strength training in general and its effect on the tendons. Now, a lot of the research has shown that it improves tendon stiffness, but more recent work out of UC Davis from Keith Barr, they're using engineered ligaments, so a whole different method of measuring tendon stiffness. And what these studies are showing is that it's not as simple as stiffness versus compliance. There's a stiff end of the tendon and a compliant end of the tendon. So the stiff end of the tendon is what inserts to the bone, and then the side that inserts into the muscle is more compliant. Now, what these studies are also showing is that heavy, slow strength training, or isometrics, that's the slowest form of strength training, really builds the compliant end of that tendon and it makes it more compliant. So that's where it gets a little bit counterintuitive. You'd think, well, if I'm trying to build compliance in that muscle end of the tendon, shouldn't I stretch? No, static stretching really has no major effect on the tendons. It's more of a neurological thing. And so when we're trying to make changes to the actual tendon, it seems like heavy, slow strength training, isometric strength training is the way to go. Now, is more compliance always a good thing? No, there is a correlation between rate of force development and tendon stiffness, so we don't want to go overboard and build a bunch of compliance. That being said, for jumping performance, we do need a certain amount of compliance. That tendon does need to be able to stretch in order to absorb and release that elastic energy. So there's always pros and cons, but especially when I identify that somebody is injury prone, either they have tendon pain or they pull a lot of muscles, isometrics is going to be a staple in their program.
悲しいことに怪我に悩まされてしまうのはスポーツをしていれば珍しくないことです。怪我や故障が少ないというのは優秀な選手であることの大事な条件の一つです。意外に思えるかもしれませんが、ウェイトトレーニングをはじめとする筋力トレーニングはスポーツ障害を減少させ、高強度のウェイトトレーニングは柔軟性をアップさせるという研究結果があります。腱の構造についてはまだまだ様々な議論・研究がされていますが、ポール・ファブリッツが言っている高重量のアイソメトリックトレーニングのメカニズムは研究結果の証左の一つかなと思います。アイソメトリックトレーニングとは日本語で言うと等尺性筋収縮といい、筋肉の長さを変えずに力を発揮するトレーニングです。例えば体幹トレーニングとして有名なプランクは体を動かさずに力を入れるのでアイソメトリックトレーニングです。同じようにできる限りゆっくりと行う筋力トレーニングもアイソメトリックトレーニングに近いものです。この障害を予防するメカニズムは2種類ある腱のうち柔軟な部位、迎合性を備えている部位を鍛えて強くすることによって予防するということです。その腱を鍛えるためには低速トレーニングかアイソメトリックが効果的ということです。重要なのは高重量・高負荷を扱わなければ効果が薄いということです。そのためどうしてもバーベルなど器具が必要になってしまうトレーニングです。ちょっとハードルが高いかもしれませんが、例えば高強度のトレーニングチューブならば多少は手軽かもしれません。怪我がちな方は思い切って取り入れてみてはいかがでしょうか。
You can go heavy. You don't have to go light. Go as heavy as you can to handle 30 to 45 seconds per set and typically get through anywhere from 2 to 4 sets. We know that it works for injury prevention. We know that it's a great first step in a rehab program. We know that it can silence some of that tendon pain that a lot of us have. I think everyone would agree that heavy isometrics and slow, heavy strength training can really build some quality tissue in that tendon and build some good muscle strength without aggravating it like fast lifting often does. So I want you guys to understand that there is still debate over the exact mechanisms, but either way, we know that heavy load strength training and isometrics are very good for tendon health, for muscle health, and for injury reduction.